Google Gemini's Nano Banana image model has been taking the internet by storm. It's so insane how prevalent this image model is everywhere and how easy it is to use. I don't know about you, but it's just really hard for me to just type in all these prompts all the time to tell the image model to do some really cool stuff. So today I got a really special treat because we're going to try to see if I can make a viral app. And I'm going to try all of these different ideas. I'm going to try every single day. I'm going to show up on the stream every single day. And I have this crazy idea of like giving it a prompt and to see if we can actually really cook with this model. And so whenever I give it an image like this, it's going to take some surrealness and do some really cool like anime style graphics for us. And so if I take a photo like this with myself in the webcam, it's going to like take my keyboard and then kind of do this really cool thing. And so I don't know about you, but this is kind of a really fun way to engage with the model. And I really don't know what specific idea is going to hit. So you're going to watch me through this entire journey from the inception of like how we take this code here from this repo, the repo I forked from Ross Mike, and the stack that I'm going to use. So I'm going to be coding with AI every day. If you don't know, I used to be an engineer at Apple for 12 years, and now I'm basically online posting. No, I was just playing. I'm basically here making apps live, and I want to use everything about these models, learn more about web development, learn more about how do I utilize Cursor, how do I utilize Claude Code, utilize all the latest frontier models to help us achieve this goal, right? So for me, I want to move really fast, and I have some prototypes and ideas in mind, and you're going to learn a lot about how I prompt, how I make and build apps. And I'm still very new to this whole thing. So, now that I can actually do stuff on my own, I have a lot more freedom and I can say whatever I want. You know what I mean? So this is going to be a really fun live stream and we're going to kind of take you through this. So this app, I can kind of show you where this came from. And this is from, it actually was called Drip Me Out. So the Drip Me Out concept is basically you take a photo of yourself using the webcam and then it will like add a really fire chain to your whole thing. So this was originally what the prompt was. It's basically a prompt that's baked in. As soon as you take the photo, it's going to just tell the Google Gemini Nano model to go ahead and add a chain to your whole thing. So it's kind of cool. So whenever you take any photos, you have like a real fire chain, and it's kind of fun because it's variable rewards and you actually have no clue what it's going to do. So like it totally ices me out. And yeah, like no matter where you're at, it kind of does that. It had 2 chains and stuff. It added 2 chains because I was literally in first class and that somehow I knew that, I guess. I don't know. So yeah, that's what's up. And because this is a live stream, this is actually extra special. This is your chance to participate in the chat, kind of hang out with me. And there's also some folks who have joined the Discord. That's currently $14.99 until we double the price for our next 200 members. So we have about like 40 members left to go. And I'm going to try to hook up some other stuff there as well. So big shout outs to JK Software, who's also a member here at the on here. It says, yesterday I was sleeping when that was going on. Ray, you should turn this into an app. That's exactly what we're going to go ahead and do, Doom. And I have some ideas on how to get this into an iOS app. Yes, it's going to be a native Swift app. So I don't really code in Swift all the time. And it's going to be really fun to like watch me stumble my way through it. That's probably going to be later on. I'm going to start with the web first because the web is really fast. I can make changes really quickly and Apple's not going to take like 15 to 30% of my stuff. So yeah, big shout outs to you guys. I appreciate everyone who's kind of joining on the stream. So let's go ahead and kind of get cooking on these types of models and stuff like that. Let's go, family. Okay, so what I'm starting out with here is this idea. And what I was able to do was, this is kind of the preface for the whole, like, kind of setting up the whole viral app idea. I saw this video from, this was actually from Matt Wolf, right? He's a huge AI video producer, and he talks a lot about just like the latest things in AI, and he's in love with AI just as much as a lot of us are. And he does a really great job reporting about the news. And so this was like kind of really what inspired this whole thing. It's like literally a real life photo of a chick, and they gave it this specific prompt to look like a 2D whimsical hand-drawn anime illusion, keep everything else in the image exactly the same. And then this is kind of what we get out of it, which I thought was really, really cool. I was like, man, how can I do that? So in AI Studio, I kind of did something similar. I took a photo of my friend, gave it some similar types of things, and then out came some stuff. So in order to make it more generic, what I thought about first was I usually start in Claude AI. And so Claude is going to be like, I don't know if you realize this, but basically whenever you make these apps, the AI instructions are going to be like the most core part of the foundation of the app, along with the code. So the code, we have to think about these in different phases. And we have to think about like, how can we make the prompt so generic so that when users insert things, the image model will produce whatever we want, right? Because there's no way that I am sitting there as a user that's going to say, type in like, make sure the ramen bowl is whimsical, make sure it's whatever, because I'll show you what happens when you do that. When you just say, make it really cool or 3D and whimsical or something like that, it just added squiggly lines. That's it. Like, that's not cool, you know, to this whole image. And the users will basically say your app sucks and it doesn't really work well. And so you basically, Opus is probably the best model for writing prompts for other language models. And my instructions were basically just to say, hey, this is kind of what I did. And can we just like make a better system prompt? And it cooks a whole new prompt for you. And then I kind of passed that back and forth. And I basically just used AI Studio. So if you do this in AI Studio, I'm going to put the actual link in here so that you can actually play around with it. So in AI Studio, basically, that's where you get to test the prompts and upload the images. And that's how you kind of are able to kind of do this iteration. And I'm sharing this, and I don't mind if you build this live in parallel with me. This is just going to be me testing this out, showing you how I do these things. And you know, I think as of now, maybe the code is available open source right now, because you can just fork the repo, which just makes it super easy. So yeah, that's kind of that there. Let me kind of get rid of this thing here. All right. So once we have those elements, I basically gave it some more feedback and then told it to approve upon itself, because I don't know if you realize, like, I gave it that image, but it didn't really add, the only thing it cartoonized was like a couple pieces of these food. And it's just, it's not so whimsical. So I basically gave it the secondary feedback. And this is what you can kind of keep doing with these language models for prompting. You just kind of give it the feedback saying, hey, this is what I got. These were the results. Can you then improve it to make it better? So it basically does a secondary analysis and writes more instructions for you that are a lot better. And then when we had that into Google, now we have like this really cool whimsical effect. So it basically took the umbrellas from my friend's photograph and added this. And then that's actually what I said, okay, let me just go ahead and like take my first photo and throw it in here. And this is, yeah, you can kind of see what it's doing. It's pretty fun how it kind of duplicates some of the images and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, this is really cool. This now actually feels like something is coming to life. And somehow these image models actually understand what's going on in the scene and is understanding like that's a cup with water and it should flow out and have these really cool things. And part of this is just us kind of doing something that's surreal. And I think there's a class of people who would be really interested in this if the price is right. If we charge like $3.99 for like access for a week or something like that in the App Store, or just for our app, it's like, hey, come try it out for like basically a cup of coffee or a Starbucks cup. You can try this for a week and make a bunch of images and share with your friends. And so that's one part of it. So I think let's go see if I can map my ideas. Eraser IO, because I think this is going to be really important for us to kind of map where I'm going with this. For me, it's so easy. It's like everything's in my head. And if I just show everything that's like, just talk about everything in my head, you won't really see the visuals. So I think I have to kind of do that here so that we can cook here. So I'm going to create a new blank file. We're going to call it cooking 0 to viral. I think 0 to viral. Okay, so I don't need a diagram. I'm just going to go to the canvas. Okay, so what we have here are a couple of things. Let's see. As far as ideas and kind of where this is going, we basically have like Google Gemini. This is it's basically a whole like class lesson, huh? But I think it's gonna be really important to know what stack we're dealing with and how we're doing this type of stuff and how our app is gonna be architected, because this is gonna be also really important. So, and then we're also gonna have like a user or something like that. User is over here. So like they're gonna chill down here, and you know, our app is gonna sit like over here in this container. So we'll say our app. Viral app. Okay. So in our viral app, we kind of have something like this. And so we have the Gemini language model that kind of, you know, we have some code dealing with how it's going to talk to the language model, like generate image. And then we also have just kind of architecture diagram real quick. So once we're going to generate the image, and we're going to talk to another entity, and it's called Google. So Google or someone is going to give us the image model. We can have backups for this, and this is probably something we'll have to think about in the future. And this is kind of how our user interacts with the app. And so Google is going to be our for like Nano Banana. And okay, so that's that there. And then yeah, so then what we need to do is also add like authentication. So For authentication, what we're going to go ahead and do for that is auth is going to be through Clerk. I love Clerk, and it's easy to set up, and I'm very familiar with setting it up. And then as far as like our database and where that's going to sit, our backend services, it's actually going to sit back here. So I think I'll call it front end, and then we'll just do Convex. So the Convex is the database, and the Convex has these functions on the back end, which will be the one that's actually talking to all of our different services in the back. And so what's nice about this is when a user actually does a request, it's going to send something to the background. It's going to process back here, talk to our various providers, and then feed that all the way back down to the user to the front eventually. So the user is basically just interacting here, and then we have a layer of abstraction, which is going to be the functions in the background that run to do our various tasks. So in our Convex database, obviously we're going to have some concepts of users and where to store that information and payments and stuff like that. So one of the things I wanted to try out for payments was going to be through using Polar.sh. So I've not really used Polar. I use Polar currently to manage my Discord, and I really love their technology. I loved it so much and the whole user experience that I thought, they have an SDK and everything, and I don't have to figure out all these crazy webhook things that I normally have to do with Stripe. I think it seems like an easier experience to integrate these two. And there are a couple of kits out there that we can leverage. I know Ross Mike is available and it has some of these kits available. And so in this journey, I also expect to reach out to other experts in the industry. I have talked with various people because I'm also based in the Bay Area, and I have met the Convex team. I've met all these people. I've met, Mike, who actually just joined the Convex team. So if I need to call a friend, I think I might have them on a live stream. So this is going to be a really cool series to follow along as far as kind of what we're looking at for this app. So we have a user, we have Clerk for auth, we have Polar for payments. Let's see, payments, whoops. Payments. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna have Polar for the payments, and then what else are we gonna do? Polar sh for the payments. Okay, yeah. Let's see, what else are we gonna have? So we have auth, we have payments, and we have this. And so far we don't have auth and we don't have payments yet. So this is kind of what we're gonna need to build out. We need to build out these two things here. Because right now the users are basically hitting our app and they're just talking to Convex. They're generating the images and it's currently free. So there's no concept of these images being stored for a particular user. And then the other part of it that we need to do is let me talk to you a little bit about this, is how do we make this thing viral, right? So there's a big question mark, what's the, if you actually make something, you have to make it shareable, because images are really good ways to kind of capture expression. And, if you have some type of shareability, that's really cool. And what I did when I was prototyping the app, I thought if I hit copy share link, what it's going to do when you actually send the image across for someone to share, you'll actually see it here. And it's oh, cool. And they can either put that in their social media or put that on their, Facebook or wherever they are online. And this will show up as an image, and then it's going to even maybe have some branding over it or something that we can do to kind of bring them back in. So if a user does click on it, they'll see it here and they'll say create your own. So when create your own, we'll basically take them right immediately to this page to start creating. So this is something that I'm going to try to start thinking, and I want to get the user in to start using this as fast as possible and kind of get out of their way. So what I thought to do is add a watermark to all images. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I was thinking as well. It's kind of like you have a bunch of couple pre-made styles, but a cursor for creative prompts so users can easily make their own styles. Yeah, I am done. That's exactly it. So anything that you can do to make the user experience much easier for the user so they don't have to think about it is probably the best way to go. Because yeah, you have this problem too. Right now, I have problems just prompting sometimes. Am I prompting the right way? What's the actual thing that I should be doing for my users? And I'm not getting the output I want. I'm kind of disappointed. And so, I think it's fair to say that this stuff is not really easy. I'm adjusting my other camera over here, by the way. I'm just trying to make sure I get the lighting right. Because yeah, in having natural light here, which is really fun in Hawaii, you can kind of see how fast the sunlight changes behind me. So we go from really bright to really dark and so forth because there's clouds. And so, yeah, we're chilling in Hawaii. Yeah, so I think enough yapping. Let's go ahead and see if I can start doing some more coding right now. But I think it's really good that in day 0 to figure out what's the game plan. And I have this cool keyboard, by the way, I'm using. I'll have to share more about that in a little bit. So yeah, so we have 0 to viral. We have, okay, the viral aspect is going to basically involve, a couple of things, I think. Basically, let's see if I can kind of put some text. So one, share with others, like encourage others to use the app. And I think the idea, like the whole point of kind of why I'm starting this is because I can get some type of domain. So like whatever the name of my app is going to be. So I'm going to be like, maybe it's called a YOLO app, right? And then so what's going to be cool about like this YOLO app is that I'm going to maybe call it like, like anime or something, or like draw me or something like that. And then what I could do is also have one like, because this is what I was thinking is like 2D or something, 8-bit. So I can do one like for like different niches. So I can do one like for gamers. So I can do like a retro one. So I can give it like a retro example, and it'll basically do the same type of thing, but maybe add some retro elements. So imagine like you had like this 8-bit like version of your actual cup, or it would randomly choose something and have some 8-bit version, but also had some like whimsicalness to it. So it feels like you're entering that world, right? And then I could even have one called like Matrix, right? And so what's cool about this is these are all just different system prompts. And what I'm going to try to learn along the way is like, how can I keep the code the same, but then deploy or have different versions that have different prompts for each of these subdomains? Because each of these subdomains are going to have their own like ranking in Google. And so Google's going to say, hey, like this is a whole different domain, even though it comes from your dot, whatever it is. And so each of them are going to have their own versions of SEO. And then I can create even like different TikTok accounts or different Instagram accounts to try to promote it. And then even encourage and share this with others to promote it as well. So I don't know. I have these different ideas, and I don't know which one will specifically hit and why, but we can just try this out. And then if there's a trend online that I'm seeing on TikTok, I could probably make something geared towards that. So are you thinking of joining the hackathon? I thought about it, and I know they want to use 11 Labs voice. And so I might or might not. I guess the hackathon, I don't know. I think it starts today. There's a Google, actually, let me just look that up. Let's see. Google Nano Banana Hackathon Cerebral Valley, I think. Let's see, Nano Banana Hackathon. Yeah, let's find out these details because I would love to know. That's bananas. So it's actually Saturday the 6th, okay? This is the one that's in person, but there's also like a general one as well. Interesting. Is this it? I think maybe it's this one. Let's see. Nano Banana Hackathon. Okay. Yeah, that's the official one. And then what else do they say here? If you're in the SF Bay Area, come build with us Saturday. Interesting. We're hosting. Okay. It's funny because I was in the Bay Area, but now I'm not right now. So we partnered up with Mistral. Okay. I think that's the only one that I see right now. But I thought there was one for all over the world. And I don't know. Like, I do and I don't. So here's the thing. Like, I have some ideas for voice features, but I just don't really know what that looks like. So at first, I think the first one is just nailing down this first experience here. Because this is just really, really cool. And then the second part could just be some other types of things. I feel like the more that I can get this in users' hands and playing around with it as fast as possible, the faster the iteration loop and feedback will be for me. And I think that's going to be our main point here is like, I like Convex as a stack because it's already like the database is in TypeScript. I move really fast with it and LLMs understand it because there's AI rules. So as I need to add features or do different changes, I'm like able to kind of be very moldable here. And yeah, I think that's really, really cool. Bring Ray back to the Bay. Let's go. Let's go. Let me cook for sure. That would be that'd be too crazy. Yeah. Tech friend, how's it going, man? Thank you for joining the stream. I appreciate everyone who's been joining here. So yeah, I think there's a lot of cool things that we can do. I think what would be interesting too is like, how can we hijack any subreddits? Like if there's any subreddits that go off on some of these like themes, right? Like there's probably these like LARPing subreddits or like, I don't know. There's people who, yeah, LARP in real life. And like, imagine if you have their photographs and you just send it through one of these types of things and you have a theme around that. like that would just go viral in that community, and everyone will want to just throw their images in there, because no one's going to want to type in like 3 paragraphs of a system prompt just to get their image out. And like, if it doesn't come out the right way, then, you know, whatever. Right. So, that's kind of why I'm saying, like, I have to have these little niches, and I have to kind of tune the niche, the prompt for that niche. And so if I have a prompt that's too general, it may not work too generally for everyone. And so I want to have like very niche, like, you know, this is 2D animated style, like a very specific thing. And people in that niche know about like specific elements or like a special power up or a special item that could show up. So this is kind of like what makes it really fun, is like, if this item shows up into their image, that means this image is really special, right? So each of these niches usually have an element like that you can kind of build off of, which would be kind of fun, right? Or you could even have one that makes of like a theme of what's those, like, not World of Warcraft cards, but it's the Magic the Gathering cards, right? So like, imagine if you had one that kind of made and generated these cards for you, right, just off your photograph. People would go crazy. I mean, I'm not really into the Magic the Gathering, but this is just me thinking out loud, right? So yeah, you can add a community forum to the site for prompt styles. That could be really cool too. Yeah, like kind of get at that. If the X and Reddit community can make and share their prompts in the community directory. Yeah, so I think here's the thing. Prompts are very developer / engineering driven. The general audience of people like aren't prompters. Like people are using ChatGPT now because the voice features are much better. But like when I show people ChatGPT, they're just like, what do I type in this text box? Like they don't know what to type in, right? And so literally you have PhD in your pocket, but people still don't know what to ask the PhD person. And it's kind of the same thing with prompting. So this is kind of why I have to put this out there. I have to learn, get feedback, and talk to people. So this would be really, really cool. Yeah, Pokemon cards would just go wild too. Yeah. So that'd be really interesting. It's just drawing people into these types of stuff. So yeah, I'll see if I can get my stuff working. So what I'm doing right now is I have the build, and I have it currently up with my current prompt. And so I think what I wanted to do next is try to see if I can. So here's what I always want to do. It's like, how can I automate some of this stuff and see if I can add, Clerk for the authentication piece, and then how can I add the Polar stuff today, or see if I can actually do that, because I feel like I got the general gist of it. Is like I turn on the camera, but maybe I can have one so that I can have the user log in and keep that track of that type of stuff. And so what I typically do is just I pull up Claude Code, and then I just run Opus and have it kind of look through my code base and see if it can actually pull that information out for us. And so I don't know why it's giving me this. Oh, what's new? Okay, got it. So now that we're in my drip me out thing, I'm currently using Sonnet 4. So I'm going to just /model. So, and then it's going to go to, whoops, here. I don't know why it says focus. Okay, cool. All right. So now the model that I'm using is /model. Okay. Opus 4. Okay. Okay. 4.1. Okay, cool. So, what I'm going to go ahead and do is tell it to, okay. So I'm going to do some dictation. I want you to take a look at documentation README area, and we're going to generate a new feature. I think. So what I'm going to do here at documentation, and then /README. Let's see. Area. As we're going to generate a new feature. Okay. Cool. So as we're going to generate a new feature, what we need to do next is integrate Clerk for our authentication, and it's going to be hooked up with Convex. And you'll need to take a look at the package.json because we're using the latest version of next.js 15. And this should be able to make sure that users are able to log in. And I want you to kind of iterate with me back and forth in terms of like generating this plan so that we can make sure that we have all the features we need. You'll also have to do some research on the web here to make sure you get the latest documentation, because today is September 5th, 2025. So part of the reason why I give that information, especially about the date, is because recently I've been seeing that Claude Opus forgets about the date, and it'll actually do web searches using 2024 in the web search. I'm like, bro, chill. Like it has no concept of that, but I make sure I give it to that. Okay, so package just okay. So I think we're going to go ahead and start with that. And usually I could probably set this up faster than what Opus can do, but so let's see if I can kind of do that speed run. So Clerk. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is try to see if I can log into Clerk. I'm going to go ahead and hit sign in. So in the sign in page, I'm just going to quickly sign in and do that type of thing there. So tried Klein and root code yesterday. Okay. How did that go? I love the speed, but let's get back to Coder. Okay. Awesome. All right. So let me go ahead and sign in here to Clerk. I have all these accounts. So many accounts that I'm signed in. Yeah, this is basically blur mode. If Ray shows his workflow, he says like a taskmaster, it might help you, Don. Yeah. So I don't know if Don's in this Discord or not, but basically I have a workflow that I have for documentation, and that's kind of the thing that I reference when I'm talking to Opus, and it's going to generate some feature docs for us. So I'll get into that in just a little bit. I just want to make sure I get my Clerk thing going. So not my Clerk thing. I want to get my application going for this type of thing. So I'm going to create a new app. And I'll show you now. So in my create a new app, I just call it the app name. What should we call this app? I don't know. I think we should just call it like Cooks. Ray Cooks. I don't know. I'll just do that for now. All right. So let's go ahead and create the application. Okay, cool. So what I think I might do is just start to actually, so this is a quick start guide as a prompt to LLM to implement your Clerk. That's awesome. They even have the copy prompt thing in here. That's actually kind of genius. So I'm just going to do bun add Clerk next.js, right? And then I should be able to add these types of things with the middleware and then the pages router and app router. And then there also is a next, like there's a guide for authentication for Clerk, for Convex specifically, that we'll basically end up doing. So more SDKs. Okay, cool. So I'm going to just say copy prompt. And then I think, yeah, so what it's doing here right now for the LLM is actually researching the documentation. And you can kind of see how slow it is to do. It's so slow, to do this, but whatever. Like, I think I'm just going to let it do its thing. And for those who are wondering kind of what my actual stack looks like, my bad. What I have going on in my stack is this type of thing here. So this is a thing that I have called like documentation. And so in the documentation folder, I made this little thing called a README. And this README actually has instructions for how it's going to generate the documentation we need. So in here, I actually have like a features thing that shows about features documentation. And then we have a thing called active. So whenever an agent or anyone is working on this, including me as an engineer, I want to make sure that I have that information available so that I can reference it later on. And in active, I'll have basically something called the spec documentation, which would be the general idea of what the feature is. And I'm going to have something called the progress. So whenever I'm using a background agent or just coding in general, it's going to reference and update the progress based off what's going on with the spec. And the reason why I chose this hierarchy is because this is something that Manus currently does in their prompt guides, or not in the prompting, in their app. So Manus will create folders and they'll dump various pieces of information for certain tasks in that folder. And so they kind of treat that folder as a container or almost like a database for everything. And so agents are really good at understanding folder structures. So if they're in a folder and they're reading similar documents and they're seeing a convention, they can tell like, hey, let me just reference the spec because I don't really know if I'm actually working on this correctly or not. And this is just a current theory that I'm working on / testing, and we're watching this live. And I'm trying this out. I'm trying to keep things as lightweight as possible and to not flood my context window. And this is one of the techniques that I'm basically doing here. Let me kind of move this to the side here so you can kind of see. So standards, we have features, and then we have active, and this is this type of thing there. And this is the tracker folder. So this tracker folder will keep track of stuff that's been planned or completed, and then system architecture docs if we need, and so forth. And so these are the instructions that are given to the LLM when it's going to go ahead and create this type of document. So this is what I gave it in the original instructions of like, here's my general idea. Let's go ahead and start building a spec document. And this is what it's doing. And these instructions I used when I had a nice like documentation session, and I actually had this generated using Claude Sonnet, I think. So Claude Sonnet made me this basic template, and this is kind of what it keeps track of inside. So it's really simple, nothing too complicated. If you can kind of see like a spec, here's like a spec document. This is the progress document. It's only 159 lines. Here's like an actual spec doc, and so each spec doc is basically every idea that I have for an app or whatever I'm going to do. It pretty much just sits in here, and this is what we're generating right now. And then I'm going to do some other stuff like to show you what's going on, because ideally I would just hand this off to a faster model. God, it takes so long. Opus, why do you take so long? It should not take this long in 2025. You know what I mean? Has anyone experienced this like slowness with Opus? I'm really curious because I've never seen it this slow. Do you share these files anywhere? Justin, I have them in my Discord. So if you want to check out the Discord, it's currently just a paid membership right now. rfer.me/discord. And you can kind of go ahead and check that out. I'm actually in the middle of making like a member actual website. So I'm using Polar, and all the people who sign up to the Discord using that, I'm going to use the auth with Polar and everything, kind of connect that together, because I want to have like an area where you can just go grab the files. As of right now, I'm trying to put them into resources inside of Discord, and that'll eventually migrate to a full-flown website. But everything's still built in progress. So as we get more members, I keep doubling the price, and it just keeps getting more valuable as we go. So invest early. Are you going to use Kimi today? I actually might. If this plan, bro, so Kimi doesn't have access to the web, which sucks, and this probably could be done in Sonnet. And once I get this plan detailed out from Opus, I think it'd be better to use Kimi and stuff, because I think that'd be really fast. We're so spoiled from the speed of Grok. Yeah, for those who don't know, it's API error, of course. I mean, I'm still online, right? I mean, I don't think I'm talking to like a dead audience. Oh, wow, there's like 29 people on YouTube, and then there's like 219 on X. That's nice. Okay. Oh, man, this is so bad. Okay. I can't right now. I really can't. All right, let's see. Bro, I'm just going to implement this by hand because I think it's going to be a lot faster. Let's go. I'm going to let Claude do its thing. It's going to just chill out and die. And let me just go back over here into these sessions. I'm going to kill these windows. And yes. Okay, cool. So Command K. I'm going to do bun, add, and then this project, which is which one? It's Clerk next.js, I think. Right. Okay, cool. Bun, add this, because it shouldn't really take us that long to do this whole thing. Unless my internet's really slow. Maybe that's it. No, I don't think so. Okay, cool. So let me make this a little bit smaller here so y'all can see what's going on. Okay, so I did that, bun, add, and then I'm going to go back to this one here. And then I'm going to add my secret keys and stuff. So this just goes in the .env file. And then I'm going to go back to cursor, and I'm just going to blur some of the stuff out real quick. And so I'm going to put .env.local, I think. Do I have that file in here? Oh, I do. Yes. Okay, cool. So I have my clerk deployment here. Great. Turn on auto cloaking. Okay, cool. So I do have it in here now. So I have a .env.local that I have set up. Yeah. And I'm going to blur again just to make sure I change out, and then go back over to like a different page and close this type of thing there. Go to a different folder, do a quick copy. Okay. Should be back. We should be back, fam. Okay. So now we're going to update the middleware and add this little middleware.ts file. So update the middleware and create one at the root of your project. So I'm just going to create one called middleware.ts, and then I'm going to go here. And so in my project, pwd ls, we're at the root of my project. I'm going to go touch and then just tape this. And so touch will basically create this file for us. And then I should be able to do command P middleware, and takes us right to the middleware file. And then go over here to copy and paste this in. See, I work faster than an LLM, bro. Oh my gosh. Okay. This is so crazy. All right. So, okay. Let's see. Now we've got this. And this thing is just like the basic configuration here. And then I'm going to add a clerk provider to our app. So add the clerk provider to components, provides clerk's authentication to your app. It's recommended to wrap your entire app at the entry point with clerk provider. So this is in app layout. I think, where's my layout? Layout. So the entry point for this is basically right here. So we have Convex provider and then the children. And I think the clerk provider would sit right on top of it. So when we're rendering this, it's going to go, I think, something like this. Dang, did we already, what's going on with our Claude Code session? I'm just going to give up on the Claude Code session. I don't think it likes me right now. Yeah, it's still going. All right. So we have toaster, we have Convex provider, and we have the body, which is kind of what's getting this font up here. And then we have the HTML in return. And so what it's saying here in our documentation, let me just kind of read this here. We're saying that the provider, it's recommended to wrap your entire app at the entry point clerk provider to make it authentication globally accessible. See reference docs. Okay, I like that. Copy and paste the following file into your layout TSX. This creates the header with Clerk's pre-built components to allow users to sign in and out. Okay, great. So in this type of scenario here, we have the root layout with the children, and then we have the Clerk provider that sits all the way on top of all of the existing stuff here. The Clerk provider is just wrapped there, and that's it. And then do we have any other imports that we have in here? So we just have this, they import Clerk provider, sign inside a button and everything like that. And then they do add the buttons to sign in and sign out inside of here, which is, that's pretty much all we need. So yeah, in Clerk provider, okay. So there's an additional thing that we need to kind of look through because when we're using this clerk with Convex, there's actually additional setup that has to be done because we're going to be probably using like webhooks and other types of things to kind of tie the two together. And when we authenticate this way, clerk, you know, if you don't have a database set up, if we didn't have clerk's Convex set up, you know, you basically just have a simple app and Clerk is actually acting as like, you know, the database in essence, right? So whenever a user is signing in, they're keeping all those values up there. And then they have a dashboard, which you do all the management and so forth. So if you didn't have a database at all and you just wanted to set up something really quickly, you can pretty much get all set up through Clerk. They even have Stripe for payments and all that stuff, which is cool. And you don't have to worry about webhooks for there as well. And they're actually, I have a starter template, so rfer.me/starter. And I'm not using that one on purpose here because I'm forking this repo. And I'm just really curious to go through this workflow together and see how we see, you know, what's the latest documentation showing and how much are we going to stumble along? And can we actually beat an LLM? I always have trouble with Claude in the IDE, whether it's cursor or VS Code, it slows down. It's interesting. By the way, the default middleware for Clerk is not protected routes. I think the link for protected routes is middleware. Yeah, I think that's something that I want to definitely take a look at. So yeah. Total machine man, I'm convinced you're either AI or robot. Yeah, I don't know if you know, but this entire stream is AI. Like this, what you're watching right now is not real. Like anything that you're watching is me, AI, as a robot, every single angle. You know what I mean? I think live streaming is going to be big, not only this year but coming into the next decade because of AI. It's just going to be so hard to distinguish like videos. Like it's going to look exactly like this, right? But then the live streaming aspect is going to be the one that's more unique, right? Because it's going to be more reactive and more for the personality. And so I have a big bet right now that I'm going to try to build my brand through live streaming. And no one is doing this. Everyone's too afraid to code in front of a live stream, and I don't care. Like you can see everything I mess up, and I hope you learn something from it because I'm learning as I go, and I'll share as I go with you. So like I'm so glad everyone's just kind of rolling with me right now. So I knew it was a simulation, and I'll try to make it entertaining. All right. So like, okay. So, oh my God, Claude Code. Oh my God. It's so slow. I think it's just timing out. I have no clue what's going on the Claude interface. Like, okay, so we made it this far. And what I think I need to do is reference the documentation they have, because there's some additional documentation to the guide here that talks about setting this up with Convex. So if we go to, I think it's, let me just kind of command 0 Convex. Set up your clerk account, pages, app router. There's a guide for setting this up with Convex. Is it Convex? Integrate. Okay, perfect. Integrate Convex with Clerk. Great. Okay, so this is where they talk about these different configs and then Convex provider with Clerk. Okay, this is kind of what we're talking about here. So once we get Convex set up, we go to components, add a Convex client provider. And so this is, I think, instead of doing their provider that they're providing in the actual walkthrough, which is right here, we're going to add one specific. So we basically have made it to the middleware part, and then we're going to just now jump into this one where it says integrate Convex with Clerk. And the reason why we're doing this is because we want to have a Convex specific client provider. Because like as I understand right now, I'm not a web developer, but it looks like in the in React has like a runtime, and each of these little components are part of this little runtime loop. And so if we have two providers in this runtime loop, we'll start hitting like race conditions, because Clerk will have like a web token for its own provider, and then Convex provider will have its own web token. And then if we're like giving that information to an LLM to continue coding away, it's probably going to assume things that, as far as like, because the training set is trained on both documentations, right? It's trained on Convex and it's also trained on Clerk. So we could be writing code for what this is what they call like distractors, and these distractors are like really like, it's really important to kind of, especially at these types of stages, to kind of make sure you start with the right types of base, and because these distractors can throw the LLM off and write code for you in a whole different direction, that could totally mess things up. So yeah, we're just going to go through this together. This is something that I've battled with, by the way. I thought the LLMs would figure it out, but they get too distracted. So we're just going to follow this. It's kind of nice that these guides are written, by the way. But yeah. All right. So before we start, we set up a Clerk topic, integrate the SDK, integrate the Convex into your app, which we do. Here's some example repositories. So in the Clerk dashboard, go to JWT templates page and select a new template. Then select from the template, select Convex. Okay. So in the Clerk's authentication page is over here. And we're going to go to configure, I think. And then we're going to go to where it says JWT tokens. Where's JWT? Okay. Templates. So on the sidebar here, it's just under session management, and then we hit JWT templates, and then we're going to hit add new template, and then we're going to go ahead and hit template, hit Convex, right? Convex, right? Cool. And then we're just going to leave everything the same. And then this is the issuer that we have here. So I'm going to hit save real quick. So we should have it saved. All right. So copy and save the issuer URL somewhere secure. This URL is the issuer URL domain for Clerk's JWT templates, which is your application's front-end API URL. Okay. So in development, its format will be this. In production, it will change to clerk.whatever the domain name is. That is. Okay. So this is going to be really important for us for our authentication piece, and we'll see what's happening. I'm already kind of seeing some weird stuff if I'm doing subdomains, but we'll figure that out later. I'm just trying to get auth set up. All right, so this looks like something accounts.dev, and I think if I go into here, I should be able to see mine. It's like actual bunny something. Yeah, that's my one there. So in the claims section, the default audience is AUD, required by Convex, and is pre-mapped, as well as some other helpful claims like Convex's name, claim to Clerk's user.full name claim. You can include additional claims as necessary, so short codes are available for adding. Okay, so I don't think we need to modify those because we're just going to use the default stuff. Configure Convex with the Clerk issuer domain. So now we need to go to the .env and add the issuer domain. So the environment variable is ready. If you have it, it's great. So I think this is my actual one, because this pulled it from my, I guess it already pulled it already. Dang. So yeah, so we're going to go into my app now, and I'm going to go to my .env.local. And so what I'm going to go ahead and do is just kind of blur the screen here, type in .env.local. And then in my .env.local, I want to make sure I have some other stuff here. Oops. Hold on, I'm going to turn off the cloaking part. Just make sure I have my stuff all situated. And turn on the cloaking. So I'm going to show you real quick. So in here, Claude Code now wants to do an update. So do you want to allow Claude Code to fetch this content? It's like, yes, don't ask again for Clerk. All right, so Claude Code is going to still do its thing over here on the side. I'm going to paste in this Clerk front-end API URL, and this is basically from the documentation. It knows about this project because of the project that I was working on, and this is kind of why it's telling me to configure it this way. And so this is basically the integrate with Convex Clerk documentation here. We're following these steps exactly. So now that we have that set up, I'm just going to go back and make sure everything's good. I guess my voice is drying out. Okay, cool. We're good here. I'm going to close this and kind of go back over here. All right. So what we have here now is in our apps Convex folder, we have to create an auth.js file with the following configuration. So we have to make sure this is in there. So we have this in your env file. Okay. So Clerk front-end API URL. So I don't think this is not really clear. I think this would live on the front end app because the front end has to understand where it's talking to with Clerk, right? I don't think that involves, but here's what's interesting. This environment key is in the Convex database itself. So I think this environment variable should actually be on the Convex side, not on the actual front end part of the app. Because if we're going to reference it in Convex and the code is deployed to Convex itself, it needs to pull that from its own environment variables. So I think that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. So in here, I just want to make sure I add that file. So I'm going to go to Convex here, and then I'm going to hit new file. And I'm going to name it, authconfig.js. And then in here, I'm going to hit and copy and paste this back. Okay. So it's probably going to complain at me because it's like, hey, I don't know what this front end URL is. So domain application. Okay. So then once we did this, deploy your changes to Convex. Okay. So if I do bun dev, bunx convex dev, right? Let's see what happens. Okay, cool. So this is exactly what I was thinking. It did come up and say, hey, I'm not familiar with this environment variable because you just pushed this up. And so remember in our diagram, I'm going to show you what this looks like. So in our app, what we have here is Convex has its own, separate backend, which is different from our app. And so I put the environment variable here when it actually needs to go in here. And because Convex is actually going to talk to Clerk for our authentication. And so Clerk as a service that sits out here. And this is the one that we're, the users are going to, like the user, from our app is going to get guided to the auth part. And so as they talk to our app is going to be like, hey, Convex, can you handle the auth stuff? And Convex is like, yeah, I got you, fam. Let me talk to Clerk. And this is kind of the connection piece here. So let me put this little arrow, something like that. Okay. So yeah. And okay, cool. Oh, whoops. Let's see, undo, let me connect these two. Okay, cool. Yeah, so this is kind of what's going on. The Convex talks to the Clerk auth, and Clerk is going to be complaining here. So what I need to do now is go back to Convex and then add this environment variable. So I should be able to just option click that and open it. And then it opens in here. So in Clerk, what it's going to do, hopefully it does load up. Awesome. Drip me out. And it's going to add our Convex front-end API URL, which is great. And so that URL is the one that we have here in our config file. And this is the actual bunny thing here. So this is from our JWT template, and that should be the issuer URL there. And just to confirm, this is actually kind of what was showing up in our documentation. I'm going to close this one. This is actually right here, Clerk front-end API URL, and this is actual bunny.dev. So I think we just need this part. It sounds like we don't even need the other one. Okay, we'll hit save. And then I think the app should be cool after that. So what's cool about Convex is you just leave that bunx convex dev, and it just, as the tooling part, it will just kind of keep that up there. So now that we have this code, it says a variable, assign an object variable before exporting as a default module. Yeah, I think we're just going to chill off that for now. Okay, so let's go back to the integration. We have this part, we deployed it, and then now we configure the Clerk and Convex providers. So both Clerk and Convex have provider components that are required to provide authentication in your app. Convex offers a provider that is specifically for integrating with Clerk called Convex with provider Clerk. Nice, okay. So this provider calls this function called Convex React Client to get Convex's next.js. So I think, is this the integration with next.js? So integrate, let's see, set up your Clerk, Convex. So this is setting it up with a React app. There should be one that integrates it with next.js, right? Let's see, Clerk. Convex. Next.js, let's see. No, user upgrade guides. Hold on. Clerk. Convex next.js. Oh, quick start. Next.js quick start app router. Okay. Is that what it is? Clerk provider. I'm just reading through this right now. Yep. Interesting. Okay. Well, open in Claude, open in ChatGPT. Okay. Auth state. Okay, well, let's just kind of keep going here because I think we're on the right track if I understand correctly. But hey, we'll learn as we go. Okay, so it calls Convex React client to get the Convex state, so it must be used in Convex client component. Got it. So your app/layout where you would use Convex is a server component, and a server component cannot contain client code. So to solve this, you must first create a wrapper client component around Convex provider with Clerk. Okay, so we're basically, I guess what they're saying from an abstraction standpoint is that we have to kind of make a little abstracted part for the client, and then we wrap that around with this with the children and everything like that. Dang, that's really cool. So I guess what I want to do is, I thought there was a version of this that deals with integrating this with Next.js, right? So is there a version of this that integrates with Next.js? I'm just really curious here. Thinking, I'm gonna go. Okay. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT while it's doing that on the side. Okay. So I think we should do this basically here. So we're gonna do components. This is really kind of longer. Okay. I want to, actually, you know what I could do is copy this page as markdown. And then I want to see if I could just give this to, bro, we're still researching for Claude Code. I'm done with Claude Code, bro. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Wow. Look at that. It's, yeah. I don't know. How'd you get Cloak on Cursor and it's not in the marketplace? I don't remember. I don't know if I like downloaded it independently and then put it back on, or it was available for a certain period of time and it stayed on, or if I downloaded it for VS Code and just transferred all my plugins over. That's probably what happened, but I'm not really sure. You should be able to download any of the plugins in VS Code and then drag them over, and then they should install into the app. So I think that's what it is. So what is this saying now? It's telling me, oops. Okay, yeah, the Clerk already includes app router. Okay, create canonical links. And the API for his here. Okay, the official starter. Oh, cool. There's like actually one on Convex's site. Oh, there's React Clerk. Okay. Oh, I see. I see. Convex provider with Clerk. Okay. See Convex Clerk to set up with Clerk. Oh, okay. Oh, cool. This is actually provided by Convex itself. So they have a guide that sets up here. Okay, I think this is probably what I should have done. Example, setup with Clerk. So this is, they have a Next.js one. Okay, I was following it from the Clerk's website. I think this is probably the same thing, but this is kind of what I was really looking for. So yeah, this is exactly kind of where we're at right now. And then I'm going to set mine up. See, this is a little bit different. So this is kind of why I wanted to read through this. And I'm really glad I'm doing this actually. So auth.ts is what I'm going to change. And I'm going to actually change this here. So I'm going to say JWT issuer domain, because we still have that. Okay. Issuer domain. Okay. I think we have to change the actual URL. Okay. authconfig.ts. So I'm going to rename this. Rename. Cool. And I'm going to just paste this one in. And then we're going to update our Convex function. Is going to blow up and say, hey, I don't know what this function is. I'm going to click that. I'm going to open. And then we should come back here. And then the domain is going to be, whoops, I totally leaked the key here. Copy, right? I'm going to remove this one, Will be deleted. Yes. Save all. Okay, cool. So now I have the Clerk front-end API issuer URL or JWT. No, whoops. I'm going to delete that one too. We'll be delete. Save. I'm going to just try this again. Clerk front-end API URL. Is that what it is? No. Try again. Run dev. It should complain. Open. Great. Cool. And hit this and save. Okay. And then I'm going to delete this other one. That would be here. Save. Okay, perfect. Okay, cool. Now we have Clerk JWT issuer domain, which should line up here. Awesome. Now that's set up. Okay, so for reference, those who are following along at home, I went to the Convex docs. I'm going to paste this into the chat so that y'all can have this. And so this is where this is the docs that we should have followed. And I think it'd be really nice if the Clerk team like links the Convex docs for this, because I feel like that's probably the best way of using that. Yeah. Yo, Nano's super good. Yeah, dude, the coding, the actual image mod and stuff like that. It's so fire what you can do with this, and I'm so excited. We have to get through this part though, because I want to make sure we get this set up, because I want our users to log in and I want to get payments. Like I'm going 0 to viral. It's really weird because this first part is like not the most viral part, if you know what I mean. So like in this type of space, like I have to make sure I get this stuff set up. But once we get this set up and going, then we'd be kind of rolling. And so what I basically have been doing, I'm taking Ross Mike's existing repo and I've forked that. And now we're adding authentication to it. And we're kind of going through that with the integration here with Convex. But once we're rolling with that, everything else should be really like kind of chill and adding more features, more fun. So yeah, this is part 1 of the series. So we did that. And now we have to do install Clerk next.js, which I think we already have. I'm just going to double check my package.json. So if you do Command P and then package JSON, and then I'm going to search for this. Yeah, we do have it in here. Perfect. Okay, so we have that there. We have our Clerk API keys, which we already added to our app. So this is the secret key and the publishable key, and that's what we've got from Clerk. And by default, the Clerk middleware will not predict any routes. All routes are public, and you must opt in to protection. So it says that we should create a middleware file, and in your middleware, you export the Clerk middleware type of thing here. And I think we already have this, but I'm just going to double check that we have this here. Middleware. Yeah, so this should be it, and it should basically look exactly the same. All right, so this is now where we get into like a lot of the interesting fun here. So configure Convex provider Clerk. So this is probably very similar to what we were doing earlier, but this is specifically for the next.js thing that we're talking about. So I'm so glad that we found this, this stuff in the documentation. All right, I know. Hey, what are we building? Yeah, let me just kind of loop you in as far as what we're going on here. So the app that we're going to be building is basically this. So I'll show you right now. I'll actually do a live demo so we can kind of show you what we got. So this is the demo we have so far, and there's no authentication so far. And so I don't want to publish the site live because it's going to eat away all my API tokens, but it's going to take a photo and generate these cool like anime style 2D whimsical types of things. And so in this type of thing, it's just to be able to kind of figure this out. And so watch, I'll show you. We're going to start the camera, and then I'm going to click allow. And then I'm going to like basically have it choose the actual camera that we want to do. And so I think it's just using this camera here. So I'm going to just use this keyboard and then say capture photo. And so what it's doing now, it's basically sending it over to like the Google's image model, the Nano Banana one. And it's going to actually show up and do like the whole 2D drawing thing. And so here we go. It's kind of cool. So it's totally random what objects it chooses to animate and draw and like what it's going to do. But basically that's what it's doing here. And it like, it's going to do that thing. So I'm going to like retake or do another photograph. And so I'm going to do one here saying, so it's pretty cool. And it's using Convex. So we have some issues here. I don't know why there's some issues. We'll have to debug these. And so, yeah, there's some issues that we have to fix. Not allowed by, I have to probably fix that. It's interesting. Okay. Oh, the app crashed / died. You know what? I don't even have the app running right now. So, Bundev. That's funny. So we had enough of the app up where it was able to talk to Convex and come bring the image back down, and then is able to do that. So yeah, let's go ahead and see this here. So I love the art style that you're using. Yeah, isn't that cool? So this is a prompt that I made using Claude, and I was like, we need to do more, like cool stuff like that. Yeah, it's very useful for thumbnails. Exactly. Yeah, you can do some really cool stuff. I'm gonna hit camera settings. I'm gonna make sure I check the right camera. I'm gonna do the FaceTime HD camera this time, and I'm gonna start this camera, the one that's right in front of me. And then I'm going to just kind of do it this way. So I'll do this. I'm going to say capture photo. And so right now the app is running, says image generation started, and it should now come back to the front end. The reason why it didn't work before, because I didn't have the app running, but because enough of the app was running, it was able to talk to Convex and come back down. That's what's crazy. That's how awesome Convex is, right? Like your app could almost crash. It's still sitting on the device. This is crazy. That's pretty awesome. So it chose that mug to actually animate and even like kept the Yeti and everything. So that's like, that's just pretty cool. So you can kind of see like, this is the actual like, Yeti mug, and it basically animated that and even like added a glow to me, which is super cool, but kept me in there, right? Like how cool is that? It's so random. Watch, I'm going to do my phone. And this is really addicting actually. I'm going to say retake. I'm going to say capture photo. And so there's an issue. Okay, of course I have issues. What happened? Did my app crash? Load failed. Okay. Let me refresh. Yeah, I have a bug, obviously. Yeah, let's see. Start camera. Okay, cool. So it's going to generate the image and it should be working here. Let's see. It's pretty fun to see these different little animations and stuff. See what it does next. Yo, that's crazy. Wow. Interesting that it like actually made a whole different animation, but it's cool. It's really, really cool. I like this type of thing. That's awesome. Would it add the ability to select camera and have it so it doesn't end unless you click the generation, because you want to retake it and eat up token every time? Yes, exactly. I think that's a really good like feature enhancement for sure. Because like right now we just have like a basic prototype, and it's just like barely working. As you can kind of see, there's some more improvements that we need to improve. But this was actually forked from my friend Ross Mike. And so you can actually download this repo. It's called Drip Me Out. And so originally, basically the app was designed so that you can take a photo and it's supposed to add some drip to you. So like it literally adds like a gold chip. So, I mean, you can like probably put this in the app store and stuff, but yeah, like it's kind of funny. But you can do really cool stuff. And so the goal here is to like, I have a little plan. And so my plan is basically just to, start the app, start with different niches, and then make it so that it's really easy to share with others, encourage others to basically kind of do this feedback loop for the app. I've never like had a viral app before, but it shouldn't be that hard, because like when I say it shouldn't be that hard, I think we just have to try different things and be very creative. And like this goes against some of the sayings that like I've learned where you have to find a market and serve them. I think this technology is so novel that there is this like really great gap for us to kind of capitalize in, right? People are not going to want to paste in like a 3-paragraph system prompt just to get the graphic style that I just generated, right? It's there, it's able to generate it, but you have to have like the right prompt for it. So in this type of case, this is a rare opportunity that you can find a niche and kind of deliver something that's really interesting to them. And it's like a slot machine or like a little lotto scratcher type of thing where it's a variable rewards. You can take the same photograph, upload it twice. It's going to have a very different result, right? It could animate it in the same way. It could not. And I think that's what makes it more fun, because then, you don't really have control of it. And if you did want control of it, then, maybe we can provide that as a premium feature, right? So, like these are different things that I'm kind of thinking about for the app, and it's not yet live. And right now I'm just trying to get like the stuff kind of working. So we already have it working now where it gets the image. Because I forked his repo and this is already set up with Convex, I got all that stuff for free. So I didn't have to rewrite all that code or spend any tokens or LLMs, which is part of the reason why I forked the repos from GitHub. And the second part of it now is like, okay, let's add authentication. The database is already there. So now we just got to hook that part up. And that's where we're using Clerk for the authentication. Once we get the authentication set up and getting users to sign in, I got to set up Polar. So Polar is going to be the ones that's going to be processing our payments. They have a really beautiful dashboard. It's really easy to manage. And I think that's going to be really fun to hook all of those up together. And that way we can just start, getting our first users in and charging some money for it. So I think that'd be really cool to get that going. Yeah. So we'll see. This is going to be shareable. So you can actually click one. It has a little gallery link. So what I did from his fork, I added a gallery. And I also added this feature to share. And so this is what you can do. You can share it with your friends and stuff. You can go back to create your own. So that's kind of like the gist of it. And that's kind of what we're building. How long does it take for you to launch an application that you monetize, such as the one you're doing right now? I don't know, Tyler. So I think I'll get faster and faster over time. But like my first one took, I guess, well, I monetized it right away because I just put up a link for Stripe and people were paying me manually. And while I was getting the Stripe stuff set up, I had a bunch of stuff where I did it wrong. And I lost users because I would onboard them manually. So if I was sleeping and people bought it in the middle of the night, they didn't get access to my app when they actually really did need it. So I learned that lesson. I was like, okay, I'm going to just take the time right up front to kind of get this set up and learn this so I can do that. So yeah, Nano app is open marketplace right now. So it's endless. Yeah, we got to try it out. There's no reason not to try it out because if you do hit a winner, like it becomes so viral that everyone's going to start to want to try to copy you, and you just need to capitalize and have everything ready. So I need to have the payments ready. I need to have authentication ready. I need to have it like dialed in. And so all we have to do is like, if we want to switch the concept up, like make it like 8-bit Mario, or like, have some other theme or go to some other niche, right? Like Pokemon, we can easily flip that. And then we'll have like different characters that show up, right? Like imagine if you take a photo and then like Mewtwo shows up in the background, but it's super rare. Nobody can get that. Right? Only like one person out of like 10,000 can get it. That you can do that through code, and it's all programmatic. And it'd be kind of fire, right? Like you have a picture with like Mewtwo sitting on your shoulder, or like Pikachu, right? Or like you could even have someone like who's your actual like Pokemon character type. So it'll try to like do some analysis on your face and say, we think you're, it puts like a Charizard next to you. You're like, dang, that's cool. Yeah. Or who's your spirit animal, right? Like it could literally just be that, like your spirit animal. But I don't know. I have all these ideas, but I need the actual core part of the app working. And then I'll be able to basically just clone that out and then have different stuff going. And when the one that hits, it's like, boom, just run it, So I'll be ready to collect payments. That's what we're trying to do. So, you know what I mean? So I've been sitting on releasing mine because I'm too nervous. I just need the rip off the band-aiding. Just push it out there, Justin. You're going to learn so much just to do that. So you need a boilerplate ready, then you can push faster. That's exactly why we're doing this. Yeah, because once I get this boilerplate up, boy, we're about to cook super hard. So yeah, this part takes a little while, but once we get this going, this is only day one. I'm going to be streaming every single day. I'm here in Hawaii right now, and part of my goal for streaming is like I'm not allowed to go to the beach unless I stream. So if I stream in the morning, like super early here, it would be like 6 or 7 in the morning. I have to do paddling at 6 a.m. So I'm going onto the water. And so some of those days may be super early morning streams here, which would be super early California time. But Hawaii is 3 hours delayed from California and 6 hours from New York. So early morning here is basically barely like anything over there, anywhere else in the world. So yeah, middle of nowhere. So yeah, that's what's up. So I think James is like, how would you do licensing when it's using things like Disney characters with the LLM? I really don't know. I think that's kind of why I chose like this like 2D whimsical drawing thing, because it's a drawing. It's like a drawing on top of a photo, right? So I'm not like, it's a style and it's not a complete photo flip of a style, if you know what I mean. So elements of the photograph are being drawn on. I don't know if you've like drove on the freeway and you see like some of the images where they're like drawing on an iPad. So that's kind of like the style that I get, right? And it's also variable. And like, I don't exactly know legally what this looks like. And I think there are reasons to actually look into that. And I think that should be part of this whole journey that I can share back with you, right? Because I think there's something to learn from. And right now, as an engineer, I just say, hey, there's this technology, I can implement it. Let's just go ahead and see, what I can happen. But at the same time, like we have to learn and understand, what are the ins and outs? Like, are there things that we can use and can't use? And then legally, what do they actually say? Like sometimes is it the whole image that they're actually criticizing, or is it only parts of an image, right? So this is true in music. If you take a song and you actually sample the song and use it in your actual music, you have to pay like a royalty. And there's a lot of rules already established in the music industry for that. But if you take a song and then you replay it with your own instrument, you pay a royalty as well. But the royalty fee is like way lower, like almost like much lower, and it's like per purchase or something like else that's being measured here. I think this area is still a kind of a gray area in general for the whole market, and it's still being figured out, right? Because these image models are provided to us from Google, and we're not explicitly prompting or adding specific characters in every image, right? I'm not literally just taking this exact copy of a Disney character and just throwing it into every image exactly the same. This is being generated at random, and it's not every element. Like every image that you comes out is actually not going to be the same, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. But it's the general gist and general style, and we're not like, and so yeah, it's interesting, and that's kind of why I'm trying to figure what does this really mean for us, you know? And I think it's really good and worth exploring. And bring up a great question, so I really appreciate that. Yeah. I was just worried about you when you mentioned Pokemon, and then I thought, oh no, what if someone takes a photo and that's trademarked and you have to modify it with the LLM? Exactly. Yeah. I think there are other more brass people who are just I don't care, just sue me, bro. And like, I don't roll that way. I'm more conservative, and that's why I think there's just other cool ways to make money that's like, that doesn't have to go cross that boundary. You know, like I don't need Pokemon. I could just do other cool stuff that's really niche, right? Like I serve a niche community. There's like thousands of people who would just appreciate something like this, right? And there's like a billion people on earth like that are like buying stuff online, right? And like if you just get a 1% of that, like of something, you know, if you get 10,000 people to give you $5, that's nice, right? Just for an idea, for one niche. Hey, I'll take it, bro, all day, right? So yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking here, as far as what we're doing that. Yeah, you can do a random spirit animal. Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of ways. I'm not really too worried to it, but it's a good question that you bring up for concern, and I want to answer it because I think that's part of like this whole viral app journey here. So yeah, that's basically what we have here. We're in Convex right now. We're trying to configure the Convex with auth and Clerk. And so what we've done now is we've entered the actual provider step here with not the React part, but we're going to configure the Convex provider with Clerk here. So in here, so both Clerk and Convex have their provider components that are required to provide authentication. Typically, you replace Convex provider with this, but the app router, the things are a little bit more complex. That makes sense. So yeah, because one of them is a server component. That's right. So we have to do this funny thing where what's going on here. So we have to do Convex provider with Clerk. I think that's kind of what we were doing, right? So, so typically you would replace Convex provider with Clerk, but with Next.js app, Convex provider calls this to get Convex's client, so it must be used in a client component. So your app layout where you would use Convex provider with Clerk is a server component. And so to solve this, first you must create a wrapper client component around this. So to wrap your app in client this, so it can render this directly, and it's important that Clerk provider wraps Convex provider and not the other way around. So Clerk provider wraps the Convex provider. Okay, so it looks like the Convex provider is the one that sits kind of in the middle, and the Clerk provider sits above it. It should always wrap that because of the client server boundary, right? So now you have a server component. So here we go, use clients. So in our use client side, now we just call this wrapper, right? This is basically the Clerk Convex provider. And then, oh no, this is the server part, and this is called a Convex client provider. And so on the client side, we basically Convex provider with Clerk, and this calls clients is a Convex, and then use auth. And the use auth is being called from Clerk Next.js. Oh, okay, cool. So we basically use Clerk to get the use auth thing, and this is part of a client component. And then this is basically pulled in here using this. So this is a part of Convex React Clerk. Ah, okay. And so that's being pulled into this runtime for this part of the children. And so now that we have that there, all of the children are going to be in here. And then we add the Clerk provider on top of that. Wow. Okay. This is pretty deep, but I think I get it now. Hopefully you got it too. I don't know. Okay. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. All right, let's cook. And all, by the way, Opus just kind of died out on me. So I'm just going to give up on this Claude Opus right now. So yeah, it's really cool kind of doing this by hand because there's a guide. And if there wasn't a guide, it'd be taking longer to do this. So yeah. Okay, cool. So now we're basically at this like manual setup auth stage. So I think initially so far we have the auth config.ts set up. We have our layout. Did we have our layout? Convex client provider. We have this here. Okay. So this is our Convex client provider. And what did they say here? So Convex client provider. Configure Convex provider with Clerk. Both Clerk have to do this. So this is basically that. And so now we have to Convex. Okay. So wrap your, okay. So I think I kind of get this. What I should be able to do now is, what I want to go ahead and do, I think I kind of get this now. I want to give this documentation to like GPT-5 and then just have it implemented for me. And it should be able to do this really quickly actually, because this is, this should be pretty chill. Okay. Okay. So let me see if I can do this. So what I want to do is kind of load up open Codex. So let's go ahead and check out Codex, by the way. So Codex is here. I hit the little Codex button and I have it kind of loaded up on the side. And with it loaded up, what I'm going to go ahead and do is make sure I just check in some of these files. And so far we have our progress. Part 1, first parts of auth for Clerk and Convex. Okay, cool. So now we have that there. And so we have our bun lock file. We have the different packages. We have this auth config. And I'm just going to go ahead and commit those. All right, cool. So now that I have those committed, I'm going to hit Control C to kill the server here. And I'm going to go back to actual Codex. And then in Codex, what I'm going to go ahead and do is says auto. So, okay, agent. All right, so we have agent full access. Why don't we just YOLO access? Okay, medium. I think medium is going to be fine here for this type of thing. And we're doing a local thing. So I'm going to say here is the values. And then I'm going to tell it that we've made it back to the next thing. So what we're doing here, and part of the reason why I'm doing this is because we want to be very prescriptive for, is this, let's see. Oh, okay. So in next.js, let's see next.js here. Okay. So I'm going to give it this specific one. So it has the hashtag next.js. All right. So I want to say that we have made it to, can you start with step 10 here on the next.js side? Okay, here we go. I want you to review the documentation at that URL because we're setting up Clerk with Convex using Next.js. And we're currently at step 10. So I need you to implement steps 10 and beyond for this app. For reference, the text looks like this for step 10. And so I've just pasted that part of step 10 so that the language model will say, okay, part of what GPT-5 specializes in is actually kind of verifying some of the information in its thinking window. So when it sees that, it's like, oh yes, I'm on the right track. This is where I need to continue off. And so I'm basically kind of guiding it right to where it needs to be at. And hopefully that'll give us some accuracy there. So I'm going to let this cook and we'll see how fast this turns around the code, because I'm pretty sure this will turn around a lot faster than like Sonnet or Opus would. It's kind of crazy how and if it doesn't do anything, we can just give the same prompt to Opus. And then if you want, we can even give the same prompt to Grok for, no, not Grok. We can give the same prompt to Kimi. So the Kimi K2 model should be able to take this and just eat it up super fast. But I'm really curious to see what it does, because the only problem with the model on Grok with Kimi K2 is it doesn't have web access. So it's not going to be able to look up that documentation. So that's the only problem with that. But yeah, we're going to watch GPT-5 kind of do its little agentic flow here. And so in order for you to get set up with Codex, it's pretty fast. It's already included in your plans for OpenAI if you have a Plus account. I have a Pro account, so this is, to me, it's just really easy to kind of hand this off. And so it's going to search the provider with Clerk, and it's going to take a look at my packages. It's read my files. It's read my layout. It's now evaluating my setup, you know. So this is actually part of the documentation that I gave it, right? It's going to read the auth config file, and then it's now running a Python command to look for some type of, I don't know what it's doing. Oh, it couldn't get the actual documentation. So now it's running curl to get the documentation. I don't know if it got it. Extracting next.js details. I see that it's minified, so it might be tricky to sift through this. So let me see like if it actually got some of the stuff here. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is just stop it because I don't think it actually read through the documentation, but we'll see. I'll see the code output and see if it did it for us. So right now it's now going through the provider and it's actually added the Clerk provider, which is what we were referencing here. You can use the Brave browser MCP and it's free API. I might give you KMK2 with search. Oh, that's a really good idea, Doom. I didn't really think about that, but that's really genius. Have to bounce in a bit, but curious if Nano responds better to JSON prompting. Haven't had a chance to try that yet. Yeah, I'm really curious as well. That'd be really cool. I'm next to Jupiter Valley, California. Where's that? I don't know. There's a massive fire. Oh man, dude. I hope you guys are safe. Holy smokes. Funny thing is Codex, I've still yet to hit a limit and only the $20 plan. Bro, that's crazy. That's insane. Yeah. Let's see. Cool. So let's view the changes. So it only made one file change or did it make several? Okay, let me see. Go ahead and accept. Okay. All right. So let's see where it got us so far. So implemented this key details and remains a server component. So what's left to configure? The vars and then the Convex issuer domain, which we already did. Sync the auth TS route protection config matcher. Optional steps is add a basic UI. Optionally add features like use Convex auth or authenticated in Convex React. Let's go ahead and I don't think it actually read the documentation. So I'm just going to give it this like copy of code. I think, yeah, use authentication state in your Convex functions. So let's see. Yeah. I want to see if I can undo this here. What I'm going to go ahead and do is going to just say, oh, can I go back? It doesn't let me edit, huh? I go new chat. Yeah, so I guess I'm just going to undo this change here. So I'll just say decline. How do I decline this thing? Undo changes. Changes are reverted. Okay. So now if I go into here, it should just not show any changes. Okay. So I'm just going to start a new chat and I'm going to be like, paste this thing in and I'm going to go back to the previous chat and then just say, this is what I want to do. Because I'm really curious because I don't think it actually finished what it was doing. But since I already have this stuff in, okay, so I should be able to go back to the one I'm started, right? Oh man, this is weird. Okay. Okay. I could probably implement this faster, but this is me wanting to try this out. Send it. Send it. Okay. Is Qwen 3 free with Windsurf? Let's see. Windsurf. Qwen 3 coder. A month ago? I thought it was. Let's see. Oh, Qwen. Promo pricing only available for a limited time. So there's fast. So Qwen coder is half of a point, half of credit. I think the only thing that's free right now is a SUI. And then the... Oh, wow. Sonnet still bring your own key? Oh, man, that sucks. That's crazy. I thought they had a Sonnet deal. That's crazy. Wow. Bro, they got booted fast. Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, coder is fast 2x. Yeah. It's pretty fast. Yeah, this is actually pretty fast. I like the speed of this type of thing. Ray, would you give a look at the recent stealth models launched on OpenRouter? I guess something is cooking. I might take a look. I know a bunch of stuff is coming out of China next week, so I think it could be some of that stuff. I think like Baidu's got some stuff coming up. Let's see. Okay, cool. So yeah, this is much more thorough. So the first documentation I gave it, it wasn't able to read through it all because it was minified. So what I did is just copy and paste the documentation that I wanted to read in from Codex in here, and now it's actually doing the things that I wanted it to do, which is basically make the app layout, refactoring some of the components, which is basically the Convex provider with Clerk. This is the part that I was actually looking to add here in this type of thing here. So when we go app Convex client provider, this is basically, I think it created this new file for us. Let me go back to my code. Okay, so we have provider, yeah, Convex client provider. Okay, yeah. So in our provider folder, we have a Convex client provider. And then let's go back here. Yeah. All right, cool. So let's view the changes. So we have the layout TSX. So the layout TSX looks like it's, let me just kind of expand this out a little bit more. I think I'm gonna get rid of this here. And it's looks like it's still thinking. So far, yeah, it did the clerk provider thing. So it basically changed it from, and it wrapped the clerk provider on top of this children thing, which is really great. This is what we wanted it to do. And then in the provider folder, what it did is it converted to you use the new Convex React stuff here. So this is already a client thing. And it's now saying missing Convex URL. And what else did it do here? So returning Convex provider with Clerk. Okay, perfect. Yeah. And as long as you don't set GPT-5 to high, you're good. Yeah, pretty much. I feel like it's pretty good. 2 million token? Damn, that's what's up. When you finish an app like this, how much advertising or promoting? Dude, I'm just going to do it all like, I'm going to pay zero in advertising. I think the goal of it, if I do pay, I'll probably pay maybe $100, but I probably won't even need it that much. It's going to be to find people in communities and like literally make TikToks. I could just make TikTok videos like, hey, yo, check this out. Like just take photos of things. And in the first 4 seconds, you have to show some type of value, right? So I'll literally just show the value immediately. Like click, boom. Like take a picture of some hot girls on the beach with like their friends with some food. I'm like, hey, can I just walk up to you and show you something? Like I can make a series of things of shorts where I'm just walking up to people. I love talking to people. So this is easy for me. I just walk up to them like these hot girls or whatever they're doing. It's like, hey, can you do this? Or can you do something wild and funny, right? And like just record it myself. And they'll be like, yeah, like I want to try. And then like, or they'll just do some kissy face or something like that. And I'm telling you, that will just go viral just by itself. And they're like, oh my God, or just catching those reactions. That's all I need. I just need to capture a lot of that type of footage, make a bunch of shorts with it and just push it out. Bro, like I'll figure out the niche. I'll figure out something, right? Like, I don't know what we're going to do. Like I can make it even like, I could turn their like boobs into a cartoon character. I can turn like throw funny hats on people. I can throw like cool sunglasses on people. Like just think about it. Like I can make a sunglasses app that can just be really fun to have these different shades and shapes for their faces. And they'd be like, I don't like those. Like if it invokes a reaction that they do or don't like it, and I capture that and put it on TikTok in the first 4 seconds, like the first 2 seconds of just like, just capturing that face and reaction, it will go viral. Like, and then people are like, I want to download that app. What's the name of that app? And like, it'll just drive traffic organically. So I probably should pay $0. I probably don't even need to pay any money. So do you have access to the boilerplate template on GitHub? Which app boilerplate? Is it the one from Ross Mike? If you just search Convex drip me out, you'll be able to get it. If you're in the Discord, Ryan, just hit me up and then I'll get you a link if you need that. Similar to how Elon was promoting Grok image on X. I didn't really follow that because I think I either have him muted or blocked or something like that because I really don't like a lot of stuff that he posts. There's 2 stealth models. Okay. Oh, okay. Got it. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Cool. All right, so let's see GPT-5. Where did we end up with GPT-5 so far? I mean, GPT-5 went to work. Wow. Okay, it even did the rest of the sign up page. Oh, let's go. Yo, this is crazy. Wait, do we have auth already? Dang. Okay. Wait, hold up. Did we cook, fam? I think we cooked. Let's see. Let me just clear this out real quick. Control K. Yeah, we have the server running, bunx, bun dev. I think we cooked. I think we literally cooked. Let's see. Sign in to get started. Whoa. Okay. Yo. Okay, this is fire. Like GPT-5, like once I gave it the right documentation, pretty much just like one-shotted itself. That's insane. Okay. Wow, this is crazy. I'm just going to go ahead and continue. That's wild. Whoa. Okay, so we're signed in already. Dang, this is awesome. This is crazy. Okay, so camera, I'm going to say FaceTime HD camera, and I can say start camera. Wow. Okay, so we're signed in, and then you can even see that at the top right, we have our sign in. Whoa, this is cool. Okay. Man, this is fire already. Okay. Load more, 3 more remaining. Wow. Did you say Clerk also handles Stripe payments? It does, actually. If you go to Clerk, you can enable payments through Stripe. And all you have to do then is add like some more configuration for that as well. So if you go to overview, you can turn on, go to subscriptions. It's currently in beta, by the way. So you can hit get started. I have a video, if you want to check it out on my channel, that's called the Stripe SaaS starter kit. So if you just search as like my recent video or two, and it's called the SaaS starter kit. And so the SaaS starter kit actually has Convex hooked up with Clerk with Stripe using this specific billing feature. And that video will walk you through like in 10 minutes really quickly how to get that all configured. And I also have the starter repo there, so you can fork that repo and just start going. Has a landing page, has everything. It's pretty fire. Has a dashboard as well, so you can take people into an app and establish a paid route. There's a lot of really good stuff in there, and that was developed by this young kid named Artem, and he's currently in the Discord as well. I did a live stream with them, and we were building an app, and so we were also trying to build like an image app using the similar template. And yeah, so it already has Clerk, has authentication, has Convex. I love this stack. It's so great, with Next.js. It's really fun to build with. But right now I'm actually pivoting to use Polar because I want to try that out. I've been using Polar and I've been really liking the platform. And so this is us going to be kind of stumbling through this manually, and you can kind of see how it's usually, it takes a while to get the setup, but I mean, GPT-5 just one-shotted it with the documentation. I mean, yeah, I think it's just really impressive how GPT-5 just kind of, I mean, it was fast too, right? So once I gave it the right documentation, it thought through and continued to think through all the details here. And it says like, I mean, let's read through it. So it's a finished working, implemented the Convex integration from step 10 onward. And here's what I changed. I added the Convex client provider, switched Convex provider with Clerk, and wired Clerk auth. It did the app layout thing too. So it wrapped the app with Convex provider with client provider inside. It auth gated things. So it moved all the Convex hooks into the content component, and you use Convex authenticated, unauthenticated with Clerk sign-in buttons as well. And then has file references. So like these are the files that it touched. And look at these details. This is really, really great. So now it imports and wraps the Clerk provider, then renders this inside of Convex and can access the Clerk context. So this is exactly what we read in the documentation. GPT-5 did that for us, right? So now that I gave it the correct documentation, so you have to read through those little thinking windows. As you saw, or as I saw when I was reading through it, it looks like it tried to actually parse it using Python and curl, and it didn't grab all the documentation. And when I started to see some other code pop up, I just kind of knew like, this doesn't look good. So sometimes that happens. Make sure you read through it. You have to go back, and once you give it the documentation, GPT-5 really does go to town for there. And so if you do see some issues, it's important to kind of take a look at those little details. These details at the very beginning matter a lot more than maybe later on in the project, but it's just a good, healthy habit if you're going to be coding with LLMs to have that type of feedback. Because right now, I don't think they're reliable enough on their own. As you can see, some of them don't even have access to these really common documentations. People talk about using Context 7 as an MCP server, and that's also another possibility. And then that would read the documentation. But I like to be, with GPT-5, I like to be very succinct, very descriptive, and say, just do this. Don't do all the 10 steps. I just want you to do step 10 and forward, because this other stuff I can do very reliably. And I don't necessarily need an LLM for this, but this other part that involves like creating all these different components, you can do it too. And here's what you need. And so we're seeing how reliable that is. And it even continued on and adding the rest of the features with like what it's saying here. So it tells us exactly what it did. This is amazing. So to finish the setup, we already have this environment variable. The Clerk keys, we already have these secret keys as well. And then we need to set up the issuer domain. So check the env vars. We had the Clerk keys as well. We also had the issuer domain, which we set up already on Clerk. And we also set up the middleware, which is good. And then the backend. So this is the next step. So the option step, if you want to create and restrict Convex by user and update relevant functions, this is kind of what we need to hash out. And this is a conversation I might have with Claude Opus on my code base to figure out, okay, what specific things do we really want to do next? And because what I want to do is make sure that when users upload their own images, that they only see their images and not anyone else's, right? And then if they want to turn an image public, that it's going to be available to the general public. And so that'll be kind of like an interesting way that we can kind of try to figure out how we do that. And there's going to be additional steps in logic that we need to figure out there. And so the next thing it says, what do you want me to do? And this is kind of where it's at right now. So what it's going to do is I'm just going to use cursor to check the changes in because we were able to sign in here. And then these were all the changes did there. It's a clerk provider. The page just added this type of thing. And then the provider itself changed it to a client provider. I'm just going to go ahead and add this here. So this is the last step of our auth piece. Commit. It's cool. So now we have authentication set up. That's crazy. And so the next part is going to be, setting up Polar. And then I think we may have to set up some webhooks to sync users between Clerk, but I don't necessarily need it. We already have authentication set up. If I wanted to do some specific things in Polar to tie like the user's accounts and their credits, I may have to set up a webhook to sync that up. But I don't necessarily need all the details from the user. I may not even need their emails in the database. I just need like an ID. And so with that ID, if I only just keep the ID in the database, that's the way I can tie that into like a Polar user. And so the scheme that I'm kind of thinking here is that, the less customer data I have in my database, the better. So if Clerk gives me an ID, all we need is that ID, and that's not identifiable to anyone except for me. I can look in the database, in Clerk's database, and figure out where that points to. So I probably need that. The other thing I probably need is like how many credits they have bought. And so when I hook this up to Polar is probably going to give me an ID for a specific user. And that's kind of where I'll tie the two together through some metadata of some sort. And then a number of credits will just kind of go along with that. So I'll probably either hit Polar's API to give me that information as far as where that sits, or whatever other thing comes up next. So okay. So that's kind of where we're at with that so far. Okay, so as of now, what we have so far, for those who are just kind of tuning in now, our goal is to turn this app that I have, I could take a photograph and it's going to do some really cool things to make it like really whimsical 2D type of effect. I don't know yet what specific thing is going to go viral. It could be this, it could be not. And I'm going to walk you through. This is the first day where we're going to see like, this is the general idea. We're going to using the Google's Nano Banana image generation, their Google Gemini Lite model. And the goal is to try to take this image and do something really cool with it. And hope it goes viral, right? Because if it does go viral, you just need that and people to sign up for you. So the first step is like the app idea. We kind of have that already. We forked the repo, which was to take the images and do the types of things. I added my own custom prompt to this. Our tech stack that we're going to be working with is Convex Clerk authentication here. We're using Google Gemini for the API. That's all we're doing for the backend. And then for payments, we're doing Polar. So Polar is going to be the one that's going to allow us to do this like incremental billing. So we keep track of credits in the system or something like that. So like $5 would get you 100 credits or whatever we want. We're going to figure that out. I don't know what the actual logistics are. So yeah, it's Flash 2.5 image. Google Gemini Flash 2.5 image. Thank you so much, Daniel, for the MVP for that. I think that's what I was looking for, right? Okay, cool. That's awesome. What was the session time frame that you set for the authentication? Did it implement CSRF protection? So that's all being handled through Clerk. And so they have, I think it's the default is like 3600, but I can just double check that real quick because I think here we go. Let's see, configure JWT templates. If I go to my template, 3600. And so, these are all the parameters you can do. You can even set up a custom signing key. I think what other actions can we do here? Delete template. Yeah. There's also an API as well. So if you want to configure more details for like your claims, you can set those types of things up as well. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that Clerk provides, because they also provide not only just for this type of thing, they also do stuff for enterprise. And so like if you're wanting to do that, you can do different types of claims and session IDs and whatever. I mean, it's pretty thick as far as here. But for me and my basic needs, I just need this, this is all we need for me. And then this custom session token is just going to give us, the username, the email, a picture, the gravatar, all that stuff is we're going to get from Clerk so far as for like the users. If I need any other metadata or need to do some other things, I can add them in here. But to get us started, we don't even need to go that crazy, which is part of the reason why I'm using Clerk for the implementation, because it's just really fast and it's just going to get us off the ground running. You get, I think, like 20,000 users or something like that, or 10,000 users for free. Bro, that's all I need. If the app goes viral and I'm charging $5, by the time I get like 10,000 users, that's $50,000. And I think you pay 2 cents per user after that or something like that. So I'm good, bro. Like, this is so crazy how amazing that is. So I spent days building super base auth in the past. Bro, no, bro, get away. Oh, man. Oh, yeah. I'm so excited about Convex. And like when I found Convex, I was like, wow, this is actually it. But I was like, let me just make sure that there's other, I was trying like Neon, I tried Supabase, and I landed on Convex because everything's in TypeScript. And the tooling and the depth. And when I met the engineers who work at Convex, I was like, you guys are mega cracked. They are like, yeah, these guys are cracked. I'm actually going to try to see if I can get some folks interviewed from Convex, and we're just kind of nerd out a little bit. But we really don't need to nerd out that much because it's already very useful. I know a lot of people like are currently using it who have been following me for a while. Because I've been talking about it, and a lot of people's experiences have been very positive. So, I mean, you go ahead and try it out. There's like a generous free tier on top of that too. So I really like them. By the way, for the app, if you end up trying React Expo Clerk, it still works. Sweet. Awesome. Have it read every single file in my code base. LOL. The cache is already 1.6. bro, RIP, bro, RIP. Okay. So yeah, that's where we're at. So I'm going to try to see if I can get something like this. This is just the fork that I forked from Ross Mike, and so he actually has it available here in GitHub. And so this is the one you can actually, it's called Drip Me Out. So if you search Drip Me Out on GitHub, you should be able to find it. And this is where you can take the photo and everything, and this is the whole thing. So all done with Convex in the back end. And I'm building with it because I really like the stack, and this is kind of where we're going with this. And yeah, this is our viral phase here. And this is part 1 of the series. We went from like the idea of like what I saw from a YouTube video with Matt Wolf to like actually trying this in AI Studio and coming up with the right prompt idea. And then with the prompt idea, then putting it into the code, because this code already this is already a really good app for generating images. And then now adding authentication, which we just did today with that type of thing. And then now that we have the authentication up, the next step is to try to integrate with Polar and try to say, like, can I just get a basic thing like charging $5 to get 100 credits? And then once I kind of get that set up, try to also think about what's the best experience for onboarding. Can I get the users to start using it right away? Maybe they create an account, they get like 3 images for free, and then that way they kind of get the ball rolling from there, right? Or if their friend, check this out. Maybe we'll do this type of scheme. If a friend sends them an image to like click and try on their own, they're going to get like credits for free. Right. So I think that could be a really cool idea. Right. Or if you discover it on your own, you'll get like, so like, let's just say if you just go to my website, you get 3 free credits to use. But if a friend sends you over, you get like 10 credits. Right. So that could be a really fun way to get started. So yeah. And, or maybe if like, I don't know, there's a lot of different ways here. I just want to get this off the ground. And this is kind of like us getting started here. So yeah, I think that's kind of what it is. So I think that's a good way to start this whole live off. So yeah, big shout out to everyone who's joining. If you want to check out the Discord, I have that available. So https://r.me/discord. I should just have this as a pin link. I totally forgot to do that. I think I should do that now. Let me go ahead and pin this to the actual stream. Pin message. Okay, cool. If you're watching on YouTube, this basically looks something like this. And so that's, yeah, if you want to check that out, just go ahead and click the link. The Discord's currently $14.99 a month. And if you want to join now before it doubles when it gets to 200 members, like that's probably the best way to do it. The first 100 members got in at like half the price. So the price just keeps doubling every single time. And it's a bunch of other folks who are kind of building with us live. And I like the paid Discord aspect because this actually helps support the channel and everything that we're doing here to do this thing. And hopefully if we could just go mega viral, then we just be like rolling, And so I think the goal is all the money that's flowing in through the membership is actually going to help to pay various folks to help like do video editing and to like manage the Discord and like do other types of administrative things. Because I want to focus a lot on coding, building with these apps, and kind of going online to show you kind of what I'm thinking about when I build these apps and what that looks like. So if you're all aboard, definitely check it out. Make sure, to subscribe. Obviously appreciate everyone who's been giving those thumbs up and smashing that type of things. Share this with a friend if you feel like you're interested. So this is only day one. The next step is to add Polar for the authentication. And then from there, like I'm going to like literally go live once we get the app running and actually working and we can take payments. I'm going to be at the beach. I'm going to be like at these different places in Honolulu because there's a touristy areas. Like just go to those touristy areas and start showing people, like especially like the Japanese tourists, and be like, oh, like just show them and then just watch the reaction. It'd be really fun because right now there's a lot of Japanese tourists on the island, and it'd be so cool to show them my app and be like, and they're like, oh, like I think they would freak out because of like the anime thing. But I don't know. Like I don't really know a lot of Japanese culture, and it's gonna teach me. You're gonna watch this live. So somehow I'm gonna try to have one of my friends follow me along with a camera, and we'll live stream that whole thing because that'd be so fire to watch people do this. And all of this stuff will just be TikTok footage that I'll just cut up and then put on TikTok and just like span that out. So everything is kind of dealing towards something. I'm trying to make a viral app. I've never made a viral app. There's no reason why I can't, and you can't either. So we got to try it. And if you're wanting to try this is your day one too. This is the great lock-in of 2025. And we, only have like the rest of the quarter left before the 2025 ends. And I'm spending it here in Hawaii so that I can kind of like get connected with nature, get connected with you on social media, like really kind of try to force myself so that I can kind of get these apps going, because I'm paying way too much money to all these language model providers and to not have a return on this investment, if you know what I mean. So, right, I pay $200 a month for ChatGPT Pro. I pay $200 a month for Claude Sonnet. Like I'm generating all this beautiful code, but I now need to actually make some real money from it. And we can do it. I believe we can. I'm manifesting and hope that you can also do it as well. If you know what I mean. Let's lock in. That's what's up. Yeah, for marketing, maybe you can allow users to post generated. Exactly. Yeah, the hashtags and mentions for sure for the free credits. Yeah, I think a recommendation or referral system would be so fire. So that's what's up. So check out the Discord if you're all into that. And I'm going to hit the beach. I'm going to go like kind of disconnect my mind a little bit, float in the ocean. And I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace out, y'all.